Okay, so for those of you who are new to the channel, first of all, welcome. And I want to let you know that I did order a 2022 Huracan Evo rear-wheel drive. And I guess the real question is, why did I order the rear-wheel drive versus, I don't know, getting the Corvette Z06, which is an amazing bang for buck car. But yeah, the Corvette's an amazing bang for your buck. So, why not save more than 100 grand? Probably well more than 100 grand, and get the cheaper, more effective race car. That's what we're going to talk about today. This will be where the Lamborghini den is going to be. Okay, so first of all, a little update. The dealership that I ordered it from is not local. I'm here in the Denver, Colorado area. Beautiful day today, but it's still a little bit cold. But I'm here in Denver, Colorado. The reason I didn't go through the local dealer is just the wait time. It was well over a year in wait. So I ended up going with a dealership, Downers Grove, near Chicago. Just a much less wait time. I think I ordered it in August, and it should be here in January. So in the interim, I'm just waiting, twiddling my thumb, watching the Z06 car release like everybody else. And by the way, super impressed with Corvette. I used to own the C7. I had a 2014 Z51 package right when it came out. I couldn't wait for the Z06. I had to get the new body. I was never a Corvette guy until the C7 came out. We're gonna go inside and get out of this road noise here. A lot of construction. Okay, so first, I just want to give you guys like a backtrack and talk about when I used to own a Corvette. I bought the 2014 C7 Z51 package. Phenomenal vehicle, period. Let alone when you bring in, the price of the vehicle for what you get. Here's the problem with Corvettes, though. After about 5 months of me owning mine, every time I drove that thing, every weekend, I would see multiple Corvettes passing by, multiple in my neighborhood, parked in the, driveways of neighbors, and it just got old. It got an amazing car, but it gets old seeing your car everywhere. And I know that happens with every car you buy, you don't start noticing them on the road until you buy one. Like that happens, but it happens way more with Corvette just because there's just so many of them produced. We're not talking about an Acura MDX here. Like, who cares if you see those all the time? We're talking about your fun weekend car. And it's cool to see them on the road, and I appreciate them, and I love them. But for me, I wanted something, number one, I wanted something with a little more power. So that's when I kind of started thinking about getting the Z06. I think they came out in 15 or 16 or so. That's when I was really contemplating upgrading into the Z06 of the Corvette. But what I did instead was I switched brands and I bought a 2017 Dodge Viper ACR Extreme. And that thing was a beast. I loved it. But I sold it. So I sold it. I had a brand newborn. We were moving. We had, a couple of new businesses that we bought. And really the biggest thing was I just wasn't driving it, and I usually drive my fun cars. So it was sitting in the garage, and once the idea crept in my head, should I sell it? Then I didn't drive it even anymore because I didn't want to put more miles on it. So I just ended up selling it, and I told myself I'm going to buy a fun car when my kid hits about 3, when my weekend time frees up a little bit more. So my kiddo now is 4. And for me, it's time to get the next thing. And something that I've always dreamed about has been a Lamborghini. I remember when the Huracan came out, I think it was 2015 that it came out, I test drove it. Right away, I fell in love. And now that they've gone through a couple iterations of it, and this rear-wheel drive, it's everything I've wanted in a exotic car, in a sports car. It's fast as hell, but it's not always about one thing when you're buying a car, right? Like, With the Dodge Viper, it was rare. I knew it was going to appreciate. It was very fast on the track, but because of all that aerodynamic, you're going to lose the 0 to 60 time. So there's always a give and take in the vehicles that you want to buy. For me, the give and take on the Corvette was the fact that, you know, you're going to buy a great car for your money, but you're going to see it all over the place. And I don't think the new Z06s will be any different. Definitely the C8s are already in that spot where you're seeing them everywhere. And they're beautiful. They're great. I mean, there's some quirky things about them that I'm not a fan of in the aesthetics. But I think the underlying problem for me is that I just get bored of seeing the same thing everywhere I go. I want to be a little bit more unique. I don't want to be like everybody else. So for me, the clear option was the Huracan Evo rear-wheel drive. A little bit more fun than the all-wheel drive, a little bit less expensive than the all-wheel drive. I could spec it the exact way that I wanted, order it from the dealership. The used market's insane right now. I mean, you can buy a used Huracan Evo with a couple thousand miles on it for 50 grand more than MSRP. It's insane. So it made sense for me to wait a little bit, order it exactly the way I want it, and pay less and just get a brand new one with a warranty. Better. Contacts were killing me. Yeah, so that's really why I went with a Lamborghini. Now, this channel is not only about cars, but it's about money. And so, yeah, the Lamborghini is more expensive. I need to take that into consideration. It's an important thing for me as well. And any money that I spend somewhere is money that I can't be making somewhere else. So it is a big thing. And I want to put more content on this channel about money going down the road. But I'll just keep it simple in this video and say that really the money lost isn't the additional $150,000 that I'm spending on the Lamborghini. It's going to be the depreciation between the two. And I've owned a Corvette before. They depreciate like a mofo. You know, Gallardos had depreciated like crazy as well. But the Huracans have done very well. Even the 610s, they've done very well. So even though I'm spending more money, I'm not losing as much money, I think, or I might be losing about the same, just because the percentage loss on the Huracan is much less than the percentage loss on the Corvette. But the percentage lost is a bigger impact because the Lamborghini is more expensive. I think the COVID bump in prices is going to go away eventually, probably next year or so, and the numbers will start creeping back down. But really, I don't think I'm going to lose much more in actual dollar terms by buying the Huracan than I will the Corvette. So even though on the surface it sounds like it's a lot more of an expensive car, I don't think it's really going to cost me that much more to actually own. It's cost me more in oil changes here and there, but that's very nominal. We're talking, you know, a grand or two, a couple grand a year. So in a nutshell, I really decided to end up going with something I've always wanted, and I decided to buy the Lamborghini. I think I'm going to be happy just going to the garage, going to the grocery store. It's going to be a weekend car. It's not going to be a daily car. Heck, I don't even drive my daily cars daily nowadays. I'm working from home most of the time. So it's a fun car. Will I take it to the track? Maybe. Maybe I'll buy another car to tool around in the track. Maybe I kind of miss my Lotus. Those are fun track cars. So we'll see what's going to come. But one thing's for sure, I'm going to have a ton of content on the car. But those are my thoughts on buying a Lamborghini versus buying a Corvette Z06. Yes, the Corvette Z06 is going to be like 1 second faster in the 0 to 60 time, which is huge. But there's a fun factor that's not, I mean, how fast can you go? I would buy a Tesla Plaid and get the fastest car. I mean, it's super fast. There's talk about it being like, what, under 2 seconds for 150,000? So it's less about the money at that point. It's what's going to make you smile. And the Lamborghini is definitely something I've always wanted. And I'm stoked. So come along for the ride. Hit the sub button. Ask any questions that you have. I don't care if it's about businesses. So what I do is I buy businesses. I sell businesses. I also help people do the same. So I'm in mergers and acquisitions, and I own companies, operate them as well. Cars, come on, that's my passion. So comment below whatever questions you have. What are your thoughts? Do you think Lamborghini's just not worth it. It's priced at, you know, around under $250,000 versus get a Z06 for 100 grand. Are you crazy? It's going to outperform it. And I get that line of thought. I totally get it. For me, I just get bored of seeing the same car every day. So for now, take care, y'all.